Hey guys, Jake Aaron here. Welcome to my YouTube channel. I know you're here for the Venezia audio breakdown of all the sound design I did on that. I'm going to show you exactly from beginning to end in that first 30 seconds only. If you guys want me to go through the whole video at some point, maybe I'll put together a tutorial for the whole thing, but I'm just going to do that 30 seconds. I've got layers and layers. If you can see from the clip I posted in the group, there's layers and layers of audio there. So I'm going to walk through and I'm going to just simply go through each one and turn on layer after layer and just show you how just building up and layering your audio can just really bring out the full sound and the environment of your video. Without further delay, let's get into it. All right guys, welcome back to my Premiere Pro. Been having trouble getting this tutorial going. My laptop keeps crashing, so I apologize if I have to cut this again. But anyways, we're going to do an in-depth walkthrough. I've posted a little video clip of the sound tracks, the depth of light of the audio that I put into this video, and you guys had a lot of questions as to the type of audio I put in here, the reasoning behind it, and some of you requested some sort of breakdown or walkthrough of this, so I figured a tutorial might be the best case to do this with. Let's go ahead and take a listen to this. Some of you guys have already seen this, but this is the first 30 seconds of just the video, and this is all audio. The sound doesn't actually, the music doesn't even kick in till I think 12 seconds into it, but I did disable that. So we're going to listen to the first 30 seconds with just audio. Okay, here we go. There you go, pretty cool. A lot going on there, so let's break it down. So after I edit, and typically I'll edit to music, but in this case I really wanted to build up the environment. I wanted to have the audio design drive the film to its starting point, where until the point where you see the gondolier come into scene, and that's where the music really kind of takes place. So this front part, typically what I'll do is I'll go through each clip one by one and kind of assess it and decide if there's audio that needs to be inserted to kind of carry the film forward. And that's really how I break it down. If I'm on a beach somewhere, I want to hear birds, I want to hear the water, I want to hear the ambiance of the air, I want to hear the wind blowing through the trees, whatever it might be in that environment. That's typically what you want to try to pull through, and that way your viewer is kind of getting immersed in that film. Without that, you just have nice visuals, which can be good on its own, but once you immerse that person through audio, it really makes a big difference. So on this first clip, I've got the leading tile coming in, and then I slowly open up to the visual of the train station right there. So let's analyze this first 11 seconds. When I introduce a title, I've been doing this on some of my films. I know the Hawaii films, I really like using these this church bell sound, which is right here. And that will literally hit when that title starts to get displayed. It just kind of hums things in nicely. And I follow up with kind of a deeper drone here. So I got a drone whoosh right here, which is pretty cool. Let's play that along with the bell. So you hear the bell and the drone. You start hearing the drone before you start seeing the curtains come back, so to speak, and you're introduced to the train station. And on top of that, I throw in another little drone that accompanies that first drone, which is right here. It's called a wind whoosh. Let's take a listen to this one. There's that one little sound right there. It's just an opening whoosh. And then you can see the text starts to get dissolved away. So let's layer that back in. I've got this first whoosh with the second whoosh. And you can see those nicely layer in there. Hear the nice low drum, little droning sound, little whooshing sound. And then I added 2 more layers of whoosh for just the text alone. So I like to layer my whooshes. In the past, I might have used 1 whoosh and called it a day, but I find that if you layer in different tones, so you have a high tone, a low tone, a medium tone, it really makes a lot of difference, and it just gives a lot of depth to that particular whoosh. So let's listen to that one. So this is just the high tone whoosh as soon as the text gets dissolved. Okay, and we're going to go listen to the little bit lower whoosh. Okay, and those 2 together, you get a little bit more depth. Boom. And then you add the little drone in here, the drone whoosh. Boom. And then we just fill that up a little bit more with this whoosh down here. So this is what you end up with. And we'll add the bell back in there. Boom. Nice full reveal. And this leads me into building ambiance. So part of this is I want to kind of have an intensity to this scene, like some kind of urgency, as if we were there. It's kind of a loud, crazy place. You once your train's announced, you got so many minutes to get on your train. So I want to kind of emphasize what that felt like. And so I decided to introduce a heartbeat into this scene. Let me play that for you. And by the way, if you guys know how to remove all these solo tracks at one time, let me know, make a comment. Then all I know is I just have to click them individually, so bear with me here. So let's listen to that heartbeat. Start introducing the heartbeat. And if you can tell, I dropped that right when that whooshed, that heartbeat hits. So pile that back up, start building that depth. Boom, there's the heartbeat. And then on top of that, I wanted to get a little bit more intense, so I introduced a ticking sound. That's what this sounds like. It's like a clock, to kind of give the impression that time is of the essence. Let's see what that sounds like. So there's that. Okay, let's throw in the drone. Let's throw some whooshes in there. Let's get the heartbeat layered in there. And let's put the bell back in there. And let's throw that little low drone. So this is all those layers that we talked about. Boom. Okay, so you can start seeing that the heartbeat, the clock's going. Everything's kind of blended together, swoosh forward. And now you can tell if I don't have anything else on at this moment, there's no depth there. There's something missing. So that's where I introduce some more ambient sounds. Not necessarily of the train station, but what I try to use is risers. And risers are a great sound effect that kind of starts off real low and then will typically peak out at some point. And sometimes I'll use a riser, like in this case. This riser goes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, stretches across 6 frames, 6 or 7 different clips. And it just starts filling in the intensity of the scene. And you can really hear that right there. Let me just play that by itself. And what I do is I try to layer my risers as well. So you might have a low and a medium riser, or maybe a high and a low riser. In this case, I think I have kind of a medium, and then I introduce another high, a medium and a high riser. So I do have low, medium, high. So let's listen to this one first. And I've got one more here that I start introducing. Let's listen to this guy. This is, what is this one? This is called Feelings. Kind of a neat little riser. Play it by itself. Yeah, it's intensifying. So if I put this one with this one together, see what that one sounds like. And if you notice, I layer those in a way where this one's peaking, this one's still just kind of getting going, and then close to the end of the clip where I do my drop, when I transition to the actual inside of the train,
it peaks out right there. You can see that. And then on top of that, I added another little riser below it. And this one's kind of cool. It actually has like a little, I think it's like a cymbal or a bell that comes in. Let's take a listen. So it's like a little introduction to itself. Like, oh, I'm here, and then I'm going to rise up. Boom, and drop. So now if you add those three elements together, you got three nice risers. You got, this is kind of the encapsulating the background or bringing all those other sound effects together. Adds a lot of intensity. Okay, so that's just those three sounds there. It's pretty good, but you add in the whooshes, we add in the leading bell. We'll add in the heartbeat. Let's get those whooshes turned on, the drone turned on, and my ticking. So let's see what that sounds like. Pretty cool, right? All right, so let's introduce the ambience of the actual train station now. And remember these three layers we had right here. And I want to talk about this drone. So this drone, I love these. They're like fillers. And this kind of sits in the background. It's really nothing special. Just when it comes on, it's got just a low, simple drone to it. It just kind of fills in the gaps. So let's turn that on. Let's actually turn that off and listen to a couple seconds here. And this is with everything in the front, 10 seconds, except this drone. There you go, let's turn that drone on now. And so now we got pretty much the whole clip on. I've got my lead-in bell. I've got my ambiance of the soundtrack, or the train station. I've got my clock. I've got a heartbeat going. I've got some whooshes there. Boom. Perfect. And you'll notice I've got a couple camera transitions, and this is all done in camera. You can see one here, a whip pan to inside. This is outside on the platform, whip pan inside, showing you the trains. I whip pan over to the sign. Okay, we're definitely at a train station. There's some train tracks. And just a quick flash, we're going to Venezia. Boom. So on my whooshes, this is why these layers really start to come into play. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, maybe 12 more layers of just whooshing sounds underneath that. And again, here I have on this first transition here, I got 1, 2, 3 layers of whooshes. So let's isolate all this stuff. I got to find a quick way to turn these off. There's got to be a hotkey for that, right? All right, let's listen to this whoosh by itself. Got one whoosh here. That's my high. Add in my medium whoosh. That one's kind of a slow whoosh that gets introduced first, and then a real quick whip with the high and a little bit lower whoosh here. Let's listen to this low one. It's kind of cool by itself. Boom. Okay, all three. Boom. Works really well. And then one thing I try to do too is I try not to use the same variation of whooshes back to back. So if you hear a whoosh here, and there's another whoosh right there, I'm going to mix that up. Like I don't want that to sound, I don't want to go whoosh and then whoosh. It just doesn't sound right. So I try to whip pan left, whip pan right. I just felt it needed to have a separate track of whooshes. Make sure I'm on that. Okay, so then you can see here, I'll play those. So that's kind of a little bit longer a whip pan. So I start the whoosh, Introduce a slow long one at the bottom here, and then I drop it with another whoosh. And kind of a trick is, I think this whoosh is the same as this one. I just reversed it. Actually, I think this one is. So that's kind of a trick you can do too, is just whoosh, reverse your whooshes if they're back to back, so they don't sound all stacked up on top of each other. So let's take a listen to that. Nice. And you kind of hear that hit, that drop. That's these two tracks right here. And I love these things. When anything's impacting, just throw a hit in there. Just really just kind of carries that really nicely. And then I introduce some more fast heartbeats right here, real fast. Just intensifies. Add more whoosh. And you can see I'm just kind of layering things up here for the big drop that's coming up. And again, I've got another, I've got another whip pan here. I go from the inside of the sign, and I do a quick whip to the train tracks. And again, I layer in right here some more whooshes to kind of carry that. And let's go ahead and listen to these guys real quick. So this is the last whoosh in that transition, those series of transitions. It's real intense. I love the sound right here. I think this guy's like a it's got an eerie excel, and that just, once that transitions, that sucker kicks in, it just kind of carries that whole transition over to the next one. So again, it's just about layers, right? Whoa. Now I'm on the train. So knowing that I'm getting on a train, when I build the ambience for that, I'm going to add, I want to hear some train whistle. I want to hear an actual train. So I'll lead in with a pretty high horn right there, followed by a little bit longer horn, which is a little more intense. Right there. And I think I added, let's see what this is. So it's the train pass. Let's listen to that one by itself. I got a hit somewhere in there, right here. Let's turn that hit off. This is just the train pass. Snap. See, I've got, and the cool thing is, one thing I try to do too is I try to introduce sound that's happening maybe the next couple frames over or next scene over, and have it carry it over. So you're, in your mind, you hear it. I haven't seen anything yet, but as soon as you see it, it registers that, oh yeah, this train's moving. It's hustling. Let's tie that all together now. Train horns on, get the whooshes. And down here I introduce some train sounds. So that's the sound effects from Epidemic Sound. Sounds like a inside of a train. Added another one. So, and again, we talk about layering. I could have easily just used that one track. This would have been just fine. Okay, but you add another layer on there. Just gives it that much more. What else we got here? I got oh, here's another train pass. So let's put that train pass later with the other trains. It really starts to develop. And somewhere in here, I carry the ambient sound of the train station, which is right here. Actually, this guy here. So from when they're on the platform or inside the train station, I carry that all the way inside that scene. So it's really kind of seamless. You don't really hear it, but it's there. And then I've got another, remember we had the little drone sound here. This is kind of a nice warm, let's play this here. That gets introduced at this little transition point. And we start layering this stuff in. So I'm going to put the train station ambiance. I'm going to carry the drone with this little warmth background sound. I've got another one here called Up the Hill. It just kind of adds a little bit more mystery to the background. Again, subtle, but it's there. You don't really hear it, but it kind of just fills the gaps with everything. Let's bring the train horns in. Let's get the whooshes going. So now we got a full body of ambiance, and this is right after those three transitions. Nice. Okay, so let's go back and turn the rest of this on. Let's listen to the first 20 seconds. And again, guys, I was just layering these sounds in here, and they all kind of, you want to make sure they complement each other. You don't want anything like standing out too much unless it's a sound that you're trying to really emphasize. Let's turn this all on. Okay, let's give this a whirl. Yeah, just really nice. Just everything carries nicely with it. And the music's coming in. I don't have it on right now, but the music kind of just drops in. You don't really hear it, but it just kind of starts taking over the video. And underneath it is it's the audio tracks that start carrying it forward. All these different little transitions. The one thing I use a lot, and I probably said this already, but the hits. Anytime you're trying to transition from one scene to the other, you can really use audio. If the cut's even kind of goofy, you can use audio to justify that cut. And again, a way to do that is just using risers with hits. And I've got a bunch lined in here. So if you take a look at right here, I think this is when we go from the train station, we whip up. Now we're inside the train. I've got a series of about, I don't know, let's see here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 big hits that happen all at the same time, which is these guys right here. Let's take a listen to these guys on their own. And I got a couple that start a little bit sooner. Boom. And the funny thing is, you don't really hear those. They don't stand out as just like a big boom. But when you have the risers come up and then the drop, and it's all kind of blended together, it's kind of seamless. Let's add those risers back in real quick and see what I'm talking about. Now the riser, this is what I call a kind of a bridge hit. So it's a long, let's play this on its own. It's kind of a long whoosh, and it carries the gap. It carries the gap between the, well, no, there's a gap, but it carries from the riser to the hit. It kind of overlaps it, so it just smooths everything out. And I think it kind of hides everything, if you ask me. Hides that harshness of these things hitting. So let's take a listen to the risers with the hits. Come on, Premiere. Oh, we're saving. Okay. So the big hit, you just don't hear it as intensely because I got that kind of bridge whoosh. Really nice. All right, let's see what we got going on here. So we got we're on the train. We got our train ambiances going. I want to introduce, we're doing a little whip, and now we're about ready to do the drop. Boom, there's the drop. So this is all building up and intensifying. So let's listen to just that few seconds before the drop. Where are we at here? Okay, got everything off. Let's put this guy on here. So there's a little ambiance of train taking off. There's more train. You just hear. Boom, there's the drop. I got a little smack. Do you hear that? A little smack? It's a cute little hit, but it makes a big difference. It's this little guy right here. It's just a punch. I think that's like an umbrella opening. Picked that up by Peter McKinnon, by the way. He uses that all the time on his subtle, but just kind of smacks it. So let's look at the risers that build up to that little hit here. So I got a riser here. This is an escalating riser. Real distorted, real gnarly, but kind of intensifies. And then here's the bridge, another bridge that I have. I think that's kind of a same one, a little long whoosh. Ooh, that's a Peter McKinnon whoosh right there. It's a Peter McKinnon long whoosh. And just bridges that whole gap. Let's turn that off. So I want you to see the impact of that. So I got the train ambiances on. I've got this little punch, put, bap. I've got a nice, I'm going to turn this little hit on right here. Oh, that's a big hit. And then I've got a little riser hit here. Let's see what that sounds like. Boom. Let's see what that one's getting covered up pretty good. Oh yeah, it's a glass shard. It's real subtle. It's got a high tone into it. Just kind of sneaks in the back of your ears. Don't even really know it's there, but it does fill the gap pretty good. So that's it. So I've got the little shard there. Here's the Peter McKinnon long whoosh. Here's one of my hits. I got a riser. This is a ambient sound. Now I have this just stop dead. So when it transitions, it just boom. There's nothing there. It just ends. Get the punch. All right, let's see what this sounds like, and then let's bring in Peter McKinnon's whoosh. See how hard that is? It's kind of punchy. So let's add that little Peter McKinnon whoosh. It's not bad. It kind of whooshes off. And then we're in Venice, walking around. We're checking these guys on their boats. So then I start introducing more audio there. So I've got some ambiance sound that's carried over. So here's some city ambiance, and you can see I started it way back here on the train, slowly fading in. So the time we get there, let's see what that sounds like. So it sounds like some people on walking around, enjoying some dinner. Let's just narrow that down so we can listen to that. Bells. Here's some splashing of his oar. Now I didn't add any additional because this particular one, which is funny because this is a sound effect, ambient sound effect of Venice. I found that one online. It's a great. There's actually it's like a 5-minute track of just someone walking around with a nice, the recorder just recording the sounds of Venice. Was great. So I heard some water in there, and I figured, well, that kind of fits what I'm seeing in the visual there. So again, it's just about layering. So that's it, guys. That's the first 30 seconds of the track. You can see that I use a series of different ambient sounds. I use a series of risers and hits. As you can tell, I like to layer my whooshes. I think that's a key thing. I hear that in Peter McKinnon stuff all the time. I hear that in the Buff Nerds guy. He's done some great videos where he talks about how he layers his stuff. And he'll layer like 2 or 3 whooshes in there. He might do the, throw a glass shard or, just something really small like a cymbal or something like that to kind of, right in the middle, just ping in that thing. It just kind of, again, just layers it up. To me, that's kind of the key. Just it's easy to throw a whoosh in there. And I see a lot of videos where they use the same whoosh over and over again. And if you look at some of my earlier stuff, I did the same thing. It was just really easy. Okay, this is a transition. I'm going to throw a whoosh there. Next transition, say I'm going to throw the same whoosh there. And it just gets real repetitive, and the brain picks up on that. You just whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. It kind of sucks. So make sure you vary your whooshes and just add more depth to them. So let's take a listen to this again, and I'm going to introduce I'm going to enable the music. Actually, let's do this. Let's just play the music. See what it sounds like with zero sound design. There we go. That's pretty cool. And another thing is I knew that that song had, this point, kind of had its own drop in there. So it fit. You know, and with the music, it's not too bad. I mean, it works. It's an enjoyable... It's fun to watch. Not too bad. I don't know if I'd watch the whole thing, but once you turn everything on, it's a different experience, right? So there you go, guys. There's the first 30 seconds deep dive into my audio design on this video. I hope you guys like this. I did this about 5 times already because my Premiere kept crashing and other technical difficulties, but hopefully this gives you guys a good idea. I can point you to some directions of some of my sounds. Wouldn't mind sharing a few if you guys are interested. But yeah, this is it. Just make sure you layer. It's something you just take the time to do. I think you'll find your videos will come out a lot better. Anyways, guys, thanks for taking the time to watch this. I know I'm new to YouTube, but if you wouldn't mind subscribing, if you like it, I'm going to have some more stuff coming out pretty soon. I got a big trip coming up next week. I'm actually doing a short documentary in Italy, heading back to Italy. I'm going to follow a chef around for 7 days and document his life and just capture the whole essence of what it's like to live in Chianti, in the Tuscany region of Italy. So anyways, guys, I hope you like this. Talk to you soon. Bye.